Morning. So I'm just waking up, having my cup of tea. This morning is holy basil and hibiscus. And there is this knowing that was dancing around inside of me, and rather than journaling it, I figured what a perfect and beautiful time to begin my sharing and cultivating of this sacred space with you all. So, my name is Paige Mackenzie of Portal of Paige, and welcome. That's good. So, checking in. I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths with me. Come into your body. Come into your heart space. This sighing exhale out of your mouth to tell your body you're safe. Okay, good. So, this knowing that came through to me today is around worthiness and our healing journey. Pretty potent topic, I know. So let me start with a little preface and just a little about how I personally came to be having this knowing. So yesterday I went to my local spring to fill up my water jugs, and there I began engaging in conversation with a man, and he was telling me about his journey and how he's battling cancer. And so as we were talking about alternative healing modalities and his heart space, this other man walked up and said, "I'm a healer, I would love to work on you." And so they worked together off in the corner, and afterwards me and this man engaged, this healer engaged in a conversation about some quantum knowings and activating self and moving through old patterns. And so this got me on this examination of patterns that I've been engaged in. And and to be honest, I spent the rest of the night like really, really triggered. Like it was not a good feeling. I felt really connected with my inner child who was wounded, and I saw the pattern of that wounding weaving through my reality scape. And to be honest, I felt a little helpless and very overwhelmed by it. But not overwhelmed to a point I couldn't handle it. It was just like extraordinarily uncomfortable. It was just like, whoa. Because when you awaken, I mean, you can't expect to awaken to this bright and beautiful lightness. You're awakening through the darkness. So the challenge and the task set forth to you by your higher self is to be present with that discomfort and to do your best to hold space for that awareness and to trust that it's not always going to be so dark, and that you just have to be aware of the darkness as the veils are sequentially lifted for you. And I say lifted for you because it's not like this healing isn't this super masculine thing. I mean, yes, there are masculine ways to go about healing, but our healing journeys are largely feminine in nature. That feminine, that nine energy of completeness and divinity. And so that feminine energy of just like watching it and witnessing it and holding the sacred space and inviting your consciousness in and knowing that your consciousness does the work for you. Okay? When you hurt yourself, you heal. Like, for instance, at the beginning of quarantine, I sliced off the tip of my pinky finger while I was cooking. And, I had to do a little bit of masculine tending to it. I had to, clean the wound and dress it and breathe through the pain of it. And that part, yeah, we do definitely need to do that. But the healing was completely done for me by my sacred vessel. It was so wild to watch because, I expected my finger to heal flat, and it didn't. It like grew from the inside out, and then the skin grew over it, so it's actually like completely, you can't even see that anything is wrong with it, really. There's a scar and some weird sensation there, but yeah. And the same with our emotional and our emotional wounds and our generational traumas and all that juicy goodness we came here to alchemize as light workers and grid keepers and frequency raisers and whatever else you choose to identify and associate with. This tea is so good. So, full circle. Healing is feminine in nature. Met a healer who brought up some triggering experiences for me that I was holding that space for, knowing that I just had to hold the space for it. Okay, yes. So full circle moment, why I am here with you is that you don't have to be whole to be loved. Like, you don't have to be perfect to be loved. I mean, you're already whole and perfect. Think of yourself like a plant or a tree, you look at the plant and maybe this plant over here is growing a little differently than this plant over here. Maybe it has different sources of sunlight, maybe it has some different soil composition, maybe it's gotten different amounts of rain. There's different factors in its environment, and so it grows and weaves and manifests in accordance with its environment, right? And you don't say, hey, this plant over here is way better than this plant over here. So this plant needs to fix itself and make itself like this plant. You don't say that. You're just like, okay, yeah, you're just holding space for this existence, and this is this and this is that, and it just is. But for some reason, when we look at ourselves, we drop that unconditional acceptance of what is, and we start to get into this nitpicky, filing away, judgmental, really dualistic space. So that perception of both plants as inherently whole as they are and beautiful as they are, that's as coming from a unified field, a unified heart space. But that looking at self and saying, you know, maybe I wasn't nurtured in the way that is optimal, and so I have some blocks on nurturing. That doesn't make you any less worthy of a human. That just means that you are given a different type of soil to grow in, you know? Yeah. Let's let that sink in. Take another deep breath, please. Okay. So, we don't need to be whole to be loved. We're inherently whole as we are. So when you're awakening to these patterns within yourself, as I am, and I'm sure so many of you are as well, especially if you're feeling drawn and called to this space, there's something that resonates with you about it. So hi, hello, welcome, thank you for coming. Thank you for being you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you a million times. That feels good. Gratitude is good medicine. So as you're awakening to these patterns within yourself, gratitude can be a really good medicine. Just saying thank you for my awakening consciousness. Thank you for my awareness of my patterns. Thank you. And really going into that feminine space of just witnessing it and watching and saying, okay, yeah, I'm here for you. Like, just showing up for yourself and really letting go of that judge and that critic and that guilt and that shame and that blame and that perfectionism that wants you to be like a little Barbie Ken doll. You know? Because that shit's plastic, man. You know, we're organic beings. We're carbon-based beings. We're crystalline beings, too. But none of that's plastic, okay? So just really holding space. I mean, I know within myself, I was previously holding a belief, and I'm still witnessing the unweaving of this belief, that I needed to be X% healed to love and to be loved and to give love. Like, I was really scared when I awakened to my traumas that, oh, well, you're traumatized in this way, so you better heal that completely before you try and love someone else, or even yourself for that matter, because otherwise you might further perpetuate those patterns of trauma. But that's just cutting you off from love, you know? Like, love doesn't need to be perfect. Love is unconditional in its highest vibration, and that means without condition. And, you know, saying you have to be so healed and so integrated to love, and that's like a condition. So we just get rid of that. We don't need that, you know? What we do need is to fully come into ourselves and to honor where we're at, and to give thanks. So, thank you. Thank you to myself. Thank you to all of you divine witnesses. It's a blessing to connect. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Portal of Page. I also have a group on Facebook called Portal of Page's Sacred Space, where I will be posting this video as well as on YouTube. So cheers to beginning this journey of authenticity, and I so deeply cherish and honor each and every one of you. Mahalo.